Hi, everybody. Mark Thompson back here with our Pong Positive interview series, joined now by one of the all-time greats in table tennis, the comedian, entertainer, impersonator, Frank Caliendo. Frank, first of all, let me welcome you to the USATT Pong Positive interview series.
Yeah, great to be here. Not just good, great.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. I know you've got a busy schedule, you've got a lot going on, but table tennis fits in there somewhere. And I'm not exactly sure where because actually looking at the numbers, you're obviously a very serious table tennis player.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of fun in tournaments. I like to just play constantly. So standing, sitting around, waiting, then playing, and having a strategy, those things throw me. So I just like to play and hack at it, even though I'm not like a hard hitter. I like to try and spin and place the ball and use some tactics. But as soon as it gets to somebody mid-90s, probably if somebody is around 1850, somewhere between 18 and 1900, if they're 18 and 1900 because of their serve and service return, I'm in trouble. If they're 1800 because they're in the middle of their game, I can loop with them and probably beat them that way. But if it's serve and service return, I get beat by a lot of I'm not going to say lower end players, but I guess it's really low end if you're 2400 or 2500. But so for me, I played people that are around 1900, 2000 and won games, matches, just playing for fun, friendlies, if you will. But if they could be 1700 and have like a few fast, hard serves and a couple of short that look like they're going to go long to me, and halfers, I'm dead. So it's just stuff I haven't played enough. I think I haven't played enough games with enough different people to be used to that and long pips, and I'll just throw the paddle at you if you want.
Well, I noticed you have played in tournaments. You played in the U.S. Open, I believe, a couple of times back in 2011, 2015. I was looking at the 2011 results, and I think you played my good friend Barney Reid in 2011, who's like a 2,500 player. I mean, Barney's not fooling around.
Right, but he crushed me. He just wrote down different stuff.
Well, it looked like for me on the scores on the sheet that I saw that it was you were down 0-3 and actually came back in that match.
Yeah. I'd love to say that was real. But he completely made that up.
Somebody obviously hacked the computer.
No, he did it. No, he did. Is that illegal? Is that or he let me do it?
So. Why not? Okay, so I was fooled on that one. Hey, do you find though, and for those who don't know, and I'm sure there are very few who don't, obviously you're a big time entertainer. You've been around a long time. You've kind of crossed over in the sports and comedy world quite a bit. You've been at Super Bowls. Somewhat, I guess, famous for doing the John Madden impersonation and otherwise. Do you find in the table tennis world that people are going to bring a little bit of extra to play against you?
Yeah, that's another reason I hate playing in tournaments because I'll be beaten by a 12-year-old kid, and then the dad will have him take a picture with me like I'm holding up a fish. I mean, it's just or they're holding up the fish. It's brutal. I had that happen over and over and over. Get beat by young people, and they didn't even really know who I was, but their parent would, or somebody would tell the parent, and then they take a picture of me. I'm like, I would, but I'd be like, this is. Charles Barkley, this is just terrible. It was really one of those situations where I'm down. I just got beaten. I remember one specifically. Kid was probably, he had maybe a 1700 rating, but by the end of the tournament, he was probably 1900, 2000. And I'd only played in one. I played in one qualifier to get a rating to be able to play in the Open and actually be seated or whatever. And, I remember playing this kid, and he was just way better than me, and he kept doing the same thing. I kept falling for the same serve combo, and I would just get this. I thought he was going to cross it, and he didn't. He just hit it to my backhand, and he did a nice. He just spun it up decently enough, hit the back of the table, not an edge or anything, but deep shot, and I would just be sitting there going, "Gosh, I suck." Just brutal.
Mark Thompson here with comedian, entertainer, impersonator Frank Caliendo. Nice enough to join us on our Pong Positive interview series. It's almost like, Frank, that you'd want to wear a disguise going in so they don't know who you are before your play. And along those lines, have you ever thought about going in and playing as one of your characters? The one I'm going to suggest is Al Pacino in Scarface. That's
I
want
don't
to
really do a scarf. I do more. I can do more of this, Al Pacino. But say hello to my little friend and pull out the paddle. Yeah, I've done a couple things. I did an Andy Reid one just for fun, and it was like Andy Reid, kind of a hustler, kind of a bit where he looks like he's terrible, and then he starts looping. But no, I try not to mix the two too much. It's the worlds colliding, as they say on Seinfeld. Worlds colliding, Jerry. Worlds collide.
And speaking of worlds colliding, it's not uncommon for persons who are personalities, for celebrities, to play table tennis. Matter of fact, I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there. Dirk Nowitzki's, obviously in the sports world, is a guy that comes to mind. Clayton Kershaw, whole big celebrity tournament. I mean, Judah Freelander, another guy.
Judah's an actual player, too.
He's a real player.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether amongst the celebrity community, whether there is some smack that's run person to person as to who are the best table tennis celebrities in America.
Well, Judah's the world champion, so
he's the world champion.
There's nothing you can do with that. We used to play at Mad TV, actually. Ike Barinholtz, Bobby Lee, a bunch of us would play. Bobby Lee was decent. He had he went and was the first one to go get a decent paddle, and then we all had an arms war going. He had a Stiga paddle, and I went straight butterfly at that time, and just started ordering stuff. I was even ordering penhold paddles because I didn't know what I was doing. Even though my dad had played years and years ago at a club, and I knew a little bit about table tennis. So growing up, my dad played. Sean Lonergan was there. He was in Waukesha, who was an Olympic alternate. So there were I'm trying to think who else would play. In terms of, I don't know if there's actually, everybody thinks they can play. Like, I get a lot of smack talk from people that tell me they can play table tennis, and then they watch me play and they're like, oh no, I can't play. That's a different game. That's CGI'd. And then it's always a Forrest Gump joke, which is easy. And, anybody in the table tennis community is like, okay, we get it. Heard it enough. But yeah, life was like a box of chocolates. So yeah, I think people talk some smack. It's a lot of people talking smack. Brian Callen from Fighter and the Kid and a bunch of TV shows, Mad TV 2's there before I was, but he talked a bunch of smack. I did his podcast, and I went and he had a table, and he's like, I'm ready. And I just served with underspin. He couldn't get it over, and I was like, you don't know how to play for real.
Well, with shelter in place, it's my understanding. I mean, and I don't want to disclose too much, but you have tapped into one of the great resources of USATT in getting at least a little bit of training, and that's from Sean O'Neill, our high performance director, who's your good friend. And Sean's informed me that you do have a robot. So
I've got a Noogie.
Shelter in place.
Yeah, I haven't had it out that much. I wish I had. I should have gotten it out a little bit more. I love the Noogie, and I love it's the latest one where you can program with your phone and all that kind of. Sounds like I'm doing a commercial. I'm not. I just do actually use it.
They might clip this and use it as a commercial.
Yeah, maybe. I still got a free lesson coming. Yeah, I still got a free lesson coming from Samson, I think, and that Samson Dabino owes me. I just remember that. Maybe, I don't know. There's probably a date for that. But now that I've given them the plug on how much I love it, and still doing it apparently. But yeah, so I do have one. I've actually had a couple over the years, but I actually have not been playing that much because there's a bunch of stuff in our garage right now that's all been put out that way. And I have it's online. People have seen it. My garage it's as big as open
your own club.
Well, no, but it's big enough to play and actually get back and play for real. It's not like you're in a basement on carpeting or anything like that.
Well, how about your kids? Are they in? Or they? Can you talk to them?
My daughter plays every once in a while. My son just won't. They both could actually be pretty good. I got my daughter playing for a little bit, and she actually had better strokes than me. Because she hadn't done anything, she hadn't learned to
mess it up,
taught herself wrong yet.
Yeah,
and she had like really good. She's athletic. She'd broken her elbow. Not playing table tennis, but being a gymnast. So she was looking for something to do, and she did nice. She had nice timing and stuff like that, and she would understood spin generally. So she was getting that. My son would go, and he could have been really good, but he just starts messing around and won't listen to me for a second.
Hey, that's a son. I'm gonna listen to that for crying out loud.
Not at all. Not even close.
When he's about 40, he'll remind himself of all the smart things you said then.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. That'll keep you going. It looks like obviously right now everybody's shelter in place, not being able to do really what you do, which is, as I would imagine, you probably travel quite a bit and do a lot of gigs from spot to spot to spot. Are you able to play it all when you're on the road? You try to find a table.
I usually connect with Sean or somebody. I found the Indianapolis Table Tennis Club. I'll go out there because there's a big radio show, Bob and Tom. I play there all the time. I played in all sorts of spots. Met up with people in New Orleans, their club. That was years ago when the Super Bowl was there. I'm trying to think of some of the other places. Brian Pace, always whenever I'm around, although he's moved now. When I was in South Florida, every time I'd spend at least 3 or 4 hours with Brian Pace doing some different stuff. And go to Chicago. Loopy, would hit with Loopy and Rajiv from Killer Spin. So I've gotten lucky to play with lots of people that normally wouldn't like have the time. They'll spend a couple minutes. Jimmy Butler, who probably will hit with anybody until you see his backhand and then you just run out of there. Is that a punch or what is that? I don't know. It just went past me. So it's a lot of different people. I've met a lot of great people, a lot of fun people. It's always cool hanging out.
That's the flip side of the 12-year-old coming in to beat you, to make his dad proud, as you get the opportunity to play with all these stars who otherwise might say, who is this guy? Why do
absolutely. And I abuse that completely.
Absolutely.
I've hit with is it Massimo? Is that
yes.
I've hit with him. And Ariel's dad was there when I was in San Jose area. That was years ago. Just people who they might give lessons, but it was just I get these moments that are just unbelievable. And people are like, "You hit with them?" I'm like, yeah, I got this.
That's how you get better. Mark Thompson here with Frank Caliendo, obviously entertainer, impersonator, comedian, and we want to thank him for being part of the Pong Positive series. Frank, what is it going to take me to talk you into being at Mandalay Bay in December of 2020 to play in the U.S. Nationals, perhaps even /U.S. Open? How are we going to get you there? Maybe do a dual gig of a comedy act and
I'll stay away from the comedy, but I do like to play doubles. I like to play doubles because there's way less stress in that. So it's and people don't seem to care. They do, right, but it's not the same level of intensity that when you're playing in the round robins to get out or in single elimination. So doubles I play every once in a while. I played a bunch with Sean since then. I think I played a couple times with Sean.
That'd be a good pair.
Yeah, we lost in the quarters of something. I'm lucky because I'm a little underrated. I'm still in my rating somewhere in the 1600s probably. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm probably, depending on how you play, somewhere between 18 and 2000. And sometimes,
so you're a sandbagger.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it that way. I want to get to 2200 and play in a 1400 and under.
Exactly. You want to win. You want a medal. If I'm showing up, I want a medal walking out of here for sure. Hey, I know you're super busy. I want to thank you for your time. You've got a podcast yourself that goes on. Let's make sure everybody at USATT knows how they can see your podcasts that you do. And there may even be 2 podcasts that you do.
The main one is the Caliendo cast right now. Everything else is kind of on hold that I've been doing. It's wild. It started out like my normal comedy, super clean and all that kind of stuff. It's over the top at this point because there's other people involved. So do
we need to put parental warnings on that?
Yeah, that's pretty much there are now. And most of my brand has not been that. So some people get mad, but I'm like, they watch everything else. At Frank Caliendo on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'm migrating a bunch of stuff to YouTube. Probably throw some table tennis stuff up there on YouTube pretty soon too. Once we get back going.
And I know you've got some things on your website right now. Looks like in August that you're anticipating getting back up and going on tour and getting back out there and actually.
Yeah, it's really what everybody else determines for me. So I just go when they say there is stuff available to do again. I go, all right, we'll try for it. So.
Well, we talk Pong positive. Your name isn't too far behind that, Frank Caliendo. I want to thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you stopping by, speaking with us. Wish you the best. Hope that I do see you at Mandalay Bay in December of 2020 at U.S. Nationals, U.S. Open, whatever you want to call it. Hope maybe you and Sean can take
Yeah.
down some of the stars there in doubles.
Yeah, and maybe if I play singles, I can crush Barney Reid.
Well, that seems like throwing the gauntlet down there. Frank, thank you very much for your time, man.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
You take care.
You too.